we are to study the attainment of self-realization. Okay. Now we will try to understand from their perspectives as they want to convey the things, the message. So, in the attainment of self-realization, Mahamati asks to blessed one Buddha, pray tell us more as to what constitutes the state of self-realization. This is what we have to study, right? Further from here. Then Buddha replies, in the life of an earnest disciple, there are two aspects that are to be distinguished. See, every word of Buddha is very precious, gem, more precious than gem. So let us focus, let us give our ears to understand, and let us put our eyes on each and every word, and let us involve our mind to understand. Okay, every word, earnest disciple, right? In the life of an earnest disciple, there are two aspects that are to be distinguished. Two aspects, namely the state of attachment to the self nature arising from discrimination of himself, and his field of consciousness to which he is related. Okay, so the first is the state of attachment to the self nature, which arises from discrimination of himself and his field of consciousness to which he is related. And second, the excellent and exalted state of self-realization of noble wisdom itself. So two things, okay? First, the self-nature, which arises from discrimination. And second, self-realization of noble wisdom. I mean, if you will minimize this in two words, then first is discrimination, and second is noble wisdom. Okay, so they have to be expert in distinguishing the state of attachment to the discriminations of the self-nature of things, ideas, and selfhood is accompanied by emotions of pleasure and aversion according to experience or as laid down in books of logic. Okay. So the first is discrimination of what? Self-nature of things, ideas, and self. So there is no self-nature of them, of things, ideas, and self. And when we have this idea that there is self-nature of things, ideas, and selfhood, the emotions start flowing, emotions of pleasure or aversion. So conforming himself to the egolessness of things and holding back wrong views as to his own egoness, he should abandon these thoughts and hold himself firmly to the continuously ascending journeys of the stages. So we have to keep ascending. We have to stress upon, we have to emphasize, focus on our journey of the stages. We should not take rest until we reach the final stage. So the discrimination we have studied. Now, exalted state of self-realization. As it relates to an earnest disciple, is a state of mental concentration in which he seeks to identify himself with noble wisdom. Now, again, note identification with noble wisdom, right? So we have to identify ourselves with noble wisdom, that is imagelessness. So noble wisdom is synonymous of imagelessness, evolessness, emptiness, solitudinousness, all these terms, tathata, nirvana. So you have to identify with that. In that effort, he must seek to annihilate all vagrant thoughts and notions belonging to the externality of things and all ideas of individuality and generality, of suffering and impermanence, and cultivate the noblest ideas of egolessness and emptiness and imagelessness. Note these three words, right? Buddha says noblest ideas, not only noble ideas, but noblest. noblest ideas of egolessness, emptiness, and imagelessness. Thus will he attain a realization of truth that is free from passion and is ever serene. So that is the truth which we have to experience. So the nature of truth is egolessness, imagelessness, emptiness. This is the nature of truth. So we cannot imagine truth because that is imagelessness. How can you imagine when there is no image of truth? So in reality, actually, truth is imagelessness, and imagelessness is truth. When this active effort at mental concentration is successful, it is followed by a mere passive receptive state of samadhi. Okay. Buddha says when this active effort at mental concentration is successful, when this is successful, then follow what? More passive receptive state of samadhi, in which the earnest disciple will enter into the blissful abode of noble wisdom and experience its consummations in the transformations of samapatti. Samapatti. So this is samapatti. If you remember the ninth jhana, nirodh samapatti, right? Samapatti means that is the samapti, end. Samapatti is a Sanskrit word, and in Hindi we call samapt, samapti. Yeah? So samapti or samapatti is not two, they're same. That is samapt, means everything is ended there, right? This is an earnest disciple's first experience of the exalted state of realization. But as yet there is no discarding of habit energy nor escaping from the transformation of death. So that is the first experience, but there is yet what? Habit energy, which we have to get rid yet. So having attained this exalted and blissful state of realization, as far as it can be attained by disciples, the bodhisattva must not give himself up to the enjoyment of its bliss, for that would mean cessation, but should think compassionately of other beings and keep ever fresh his original vows. He should never let himself rest in nor exert himself in the bliss of the samadhis. Now understood what I mean? Buddha always emphasizes this selflessness, care of others. Even you are in samadhi, you transcend samadhi, you don't enjoy samadhi. Buddha says, never enjoy its bliss. Buddha says, Bodhisattva must give up himself, give up to the enjoyment of its bliss. And you should think compassionately of other beings. Think compassionately of other beings and keep ever fresh. Always remind yourself, always renew your original vows. There are 10 original vows. They are yet to come. You will see what are 10 original vows, and you should remember those vows, and you should, remind yourself every day. Then you will become true bodhisattva. And further he says that he should never let himself rest in, nor exert himself in the bliss of samadhis. So, nor exert for samadhis, or nor rest in samadhis, but compassionately think for others and endeavor to emancipate them, to do something for them. Always be active, slothless, dynamic. Buddha says, but Mahamati, as earnest disciples go on trying to advance on the path that leads to full realization, there is one danger against which they must be on their guard. Okay, so he also warns about the danger. Disciples may not appreciate that the mind system, because of its accumulated habit energy, goes on functioning more or less unconsciously as long as they live. Okay, even though you advance on the path, but mind keeps functioning inside undercurrently, which we have to be on guard. So Buddha warns there is danger that mind keeps functioning. Therefore, you have to be on their guard. Disciples may not appreciate that the mind system, because of its accumulated habit energy, goes on functioning more or less unconsciously as long as they live. So long you live, that keep functioning. Therefore, so long you live, you have to be on guard. Don't think that I have got enlightenment, now I'll become careless. And again, you will go into that pit. So remember my words? Yeah. So Buddha says they may sometimes think that they can expedite the attainment of their goal of tranquilization. Sometimes you think that I can gear up this I can speed up this process. Okay. Buddha says they think that they can expedite the attainment of their goal of tranquilization by entirely suppressing the activities of the mind system. So they try to suppress the mind system. But Buddha says this is a mistake. If you want to suppress your mind system, chitta vritti, nirod, if you want to nirod your chitta forcefully, this is a mistake. For even if the activities of the mind are suppressed, the mind will still go on functioning because the seeds of habit energy will still remain in it. Okay. Buddha say this seed means bij, sabij samadhi and nirbij samadhi. Do you remember these two terms in Patanjali Yoga Sutra? Sabij samadhi and nirbij samadhi. Sabij means there is seed. Seed of what? Habit energy, samskara. So you have to root out those seeds. You have to roast the seeds. So when you roast the seed is not liable to be sprout. Seed will not spring up. If you roast. But if seeds are not roasted, then there are possibilities to crop up. So Buddha says, if you thinking that I am suppressing the mental activities, you are in mistake because the seeds are still there. So we have to work on the root. Okay, complete extinction, Buddha says. So he said this is a mistake. Okay, because that keeps still functioning. So what they think is extinction of mind is really the non-functioning of the mind's external world to which they are no longer attached. So inadvertently, by mistake, they think that when mind will not function, then I'm emancipated. This is what Hatha yogis believe. Hatha yogis, they go into Jad Samadhi. Jad Samadhi, they go underground and they remain there for months and months, for days and weeks. But that is not enlightenment. Therefore, time being, they have suppressed the mind. Again, they will come up, and then again, mind will start functioning. The same greed, anger, and delusion. So, if you awaken the Kundalini energy, okay, and because of the Kundalini energy, your prana goes here, and that time you do not have desires, you don't have craving, you don't have sensual lust. But when that comes down, then again you may have the same thing, the same lust, same anger, same desire. But that is not the accomplishment.
Accomplishment is to maintain it.
First, maintain is, but that is not extinction. The accomplishment is extinction, root out the drives from where they arise, or clean the drives from these roots, these sources. That is the goal of tranquilization, is to be reached not by suppressing all mind activity, but by getting rid of discrimination and attachments. So not suppressing, but by getting rid of discriminations and attachments. So if you have get rid of attachments, then you don't need to close your eyes and go into Jat Samadhi. You are there. And then going there will be more easier even. And even when you come down, you are free from attachment. So what is more important is cutting the root, discrimination and attachment. Then there are others who are afraid of the suffering incident to the discrimination of life and death, unwisely seek nirvana. So there are other people who seek nirvana as escape, as an escape from them. That if they will go into the Himalayas, into the cave, they will find nirvana. If they will become monk, they will find nirvana. So they have come to see that all things subject to discrimination have no reality, and so imagine that nirvana must consist in the annihilation of the senses and their fields of sensations. They don't appreciate that birth and death and nirvana are not separate one from other. See, this is a bewildering statement of Buddha, but this is true that birth and death and nirvana are not two entities. They do not know that nirvana is universal mind in its purity. Okay? Therefore, these stupid ones, see, Buddha abuses in learned one's language. Buddha says, therefore, these stupid ones who cling to the notion that nirvana is a world of by itself, that is outside what is seen by the mind, ignoring all the teachings of the Tathagatas concerning the external world, go on rolling themselves along the wheel of birth and death. So they cannot escape from birth and death. So they have stupefied their minds. That is why it says they are stupids. Okay? So, but when they experience the turning about in their deepest seat of consciousness, which will bring with it the perfect self-realization of noble wisdom, then they will understand. So the turning about at the deepest seat of consciousness. So always remind yourselves that I have to work on this turning about, not at superficial layers of consciousness, but deepest consciousness. And then that will become easy. The true functioning of the mind is very subtle and difficult to be understood by young disciples. That's why I tell you, you are young disciples. And for you, sometimes that will be very difficult to understand, because sometimes you will be deceived by your own mind, because you are young, you are new. But yes, again, after some years, when you will be mature, then you will understand the subtlety of your mind, subtle activities of mind. And when you master, then you will master your mind, and then you can help the young disciples again in that way. Because Buddha was also in the same situation where you are. I was also in the same situation where you are at present. That's why I understand what are the threats, what are the dangers, and how to cope with them. Therefore, Buddha says that even masters with all their powers of right knowledge and samadhis often find it baffling, even the so-called masters also, because they have not reached noble wisdom. Right knowledge is not the ultimate. The transcendental intelligence is also only the solution. Because it is only the Tathagatas and the Bodhisattvas who are firmly established on the seventh stage who can fully understand its workings, right? So who will understand? Only Tathagatas and the Bodhisattvas. Tathagatas have already reached there, and Bodhisattvas also. Who Bodhisattvas? They who have reached seventh stage. If they are in fifth stage, they cannot also understand this thing. So those earnest disciples and masters who wish to fully understand all the aspects of the different stages of bodhisattvahood by the aid of their right knowledge must do so by becoming thoroughly convinced that objects of discrimination are only seen to be so as the mind, and thus by keeping themselves away from all discriminations and false reasonings, which are also of the mind itself, by ever seeking to see things truly, yatha bhutam. See, Buddha says they have to ever seek to see things truly, yatha bhutam. And by planting roots of goodness in Buddha lands that know no limits made by differentiations. Okay, so we have to rise, we have to ascend the stages of Bodhisattva by the help of Buddhas. And we have to develop one habit, one samskara. What? Looking at things truthfully as they are, yatha bhutam. What is called in Sanskrit? Yatha bhutam. as they are. To do all this, the Bodhisattva should keep himself away from all turmoil, social excitements, and sleepiness. Let him keep away from the treatises and writings of worldly philosophers, and from the rituals and ceremonies of professional priestcraft. Let him retire to a secluded place in the forest and there devote himself to the practice of the various spiritual disciplines, because it is only by so doing that he will become capable of attaining in this world of multiplicities a true insight into the working of universal mind in its essence. So retiring to a secluded place is also very important. This Buddha calls single vehicle,
Single, yes.
one vehicle, a single vehicle. So in the beginning, that is very important. But when you reach there, then you can be anywhere. But in the beginning, that is important. When Buddha did that, he went into solitude for 6 years. He was in solitude for 6 years. And then he realized. And in seclusion, in that solitude, they are surrounded by his good friends and Buddhas. Earnest disciples will become capable of understanding the significance of the mind system and its place as mediating agent between the external world and universal mind. And he will become capable of crossing the ocean of birth and death, which arises from ignorance, desire, and deed. Ignorance, desire, and deed. Because this is ignorance which gives birth to desire. So whatever we desire, understand that they have been born from ignorance. And from desire, they do karma, deed. Because you have desire, that is why you are doing deed. Sometimes you have to honestly see that I don't have desire. I must not have desire. So do everything desirelessly. Okay, at the disposal of master. So when you are at disposal of master, of Buddhas, you are rid of them. You don't have desire, your desire, but your master's desire, Buddha's desires, his mission. Buddha himself was on that mission, right? And he teaches the same thing, that also you have to become in the same way, desirelessly. Don't have any desire. Whatever you do without desire. Just that has become your nature of helping others, of serving others, of guiding others. And that is important. And that is how you will get rid of birth and death, and you will become universal mind. Having gained a thorough understanding of the mind system, the three self-natures, the twofold egolessness, and established himself in the measure of self-realization that goes with the attainment, all of which may be gained by his right knowledge, the way will be clear for the bodhisattvas further advance along the stages of bodhisattva. The disciples should then abandon the understanding of mind. See, after that, you'll have to even abandon the mind system also. You're not interested even in the mind also, in this understanding of mind also, which he has gained by right knowledge, which in comparison with the noble wisdom is like a lame donkey. So your right knowledge is also like lame donkey in front of whom? Noble wisdom. So noble wisdom is the ultimate. Even the intellectual mind, philosophic mind is also like lame donkey in front of noble wisdom. Buddha says, and entering on the 8th stage of bodhisattvahood, he should then discipline himself in noble wisdom according to its 3 aspects. Okay, when you enter on the 8th stage of bodhisattvahood, then you again discipline yourself in noble wisdom according to its 3 aspects. And what are the 3 aspects of noble wisdom? Now heed these words. These are very serious words. There are 3 aspects of noble wisdom. What? First, imagelessness. Imagelessness is the first characteristic of noble wisdom. And that comes from forth when all things belonging to discipleship, mastership, and philosophy are thoroughly mastered. So you transcend what? Even philosophy also, mastership also, discipleship also. You forget that I'm master, although you have become master. So first you have to come into that state, imagelessness. And that comes with when you thoroughly master that, you transcend that. Second, the power added by all the Buddhas by reason of their original vows, including the identification of their lives and the sharing of their merit with the sentient lives. So first is imagelessness of characteristic of noble wisdom. Second is the power added by all the Buddhas. Then you are powered by Buddhas. Okay, you are always protected by Buddhas. When you come in noble wisdom, then first thing you come in imagelessness, and second you come in the power of Buddhas. So you discipline in these three things. What? Imagelessness and power of Buddhas. Okay, that is why you can see in Chinese movies. In Chinese movies, the action movies, they always postulate Buddha. They say Buddhas are our protectors. Not Buddha, not Gautam Buddha only. All the Buddhas. All the Buddhas will protect you. So you are always in guidance of Buddhas. You are always in the protection of Buddhas. Okay, because of your original vows. So this is second thing. Okay, first is imagelessness. You discipline yourself in these three characteristics. Imagelessness. Second, devotion to Buddhas and having firm faith in the powers of Buddhas. And third, the perfect self-realization that thus far has only been realized in a measure. Third is self-realization itself. Okay. As the Bodhisattva succeeds in detaching himself from being all things, including his own imagined ego-ness in their phenomenality, and realizes the states of samadhi and samapatti, whereby he surveys the world as a vision and a dream, and being sustained by all the Buddhas. See, note this, underline this, being sustained by all the Buddhas. So Bodhisattvas are sustained by Buddhas, right? Bodhisattvas are sustained by Buddhas, by Buddha powers, by the powers of Buddhas. And he will be able to pass on to the full attainment of the Tathagata stage, which is noble wisdom itself. So the 10th stage is called noble wisdom. And noble wisdom is the 10th stage, right? This is the triplicity of the world, noble life. And being furnished with this triplicity, the perfect self-realization of noble wisdom has been attained. Okay, so these are triplicity. What? Imagelessness, firm faith in the power of Buddhas, and third, realization. Okay, being in noble wisdom, Tathagathood. Is clear?
Yes.
So here I wanted to share the 10th planes, 10th stages, and you should remember, you should, check at which stage you are. Okay, and you should note down. First, so note down this, abbreviation. P. First is P. Write the abbreviation P. V. 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 P. V. P. P. V. P. A. S. A. D. A. S. D. They are the abbreviation. They are the 10th bhumis.
So it's P V P A S A D A S D, right?
P V P A S. Okay. Then A P A S D.
So A as in alpha, D as in delta, and then A as in
Alpha again.
yeah, as in Sam, D as in delta again.
Yeah. S and D. These are the abbreviations. they are the 10th. Are they 10 in numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are the 10 stages, and you should remember that in which stage you are, and you should be very clear that the 10th stage, that is D, where there we have to reach. Now write the full form of this abbreviation. Okay.
So is it having some meanings also?
Of course.
So it won't be,
I'll let you know the meaning. First is called P, means pramudita. Pramudita. Pramudit. 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 In Sanskrit we call that pramudit, not pramudita. In English you write pramudita, but that is pramudit. Okay, that is P, first P. Okay. Second is V. V means Vimal. Vimal. But in English you write Vimala. Vimal. Let us call this in Sanskrit Vimal. Okay. Pramudit, Vimal, PV, P is Prabhakar, Prabhakari or Prabhakar. Okay, PVP, A is Archishmati, 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 Archishmati. PVPA, S. S is Sudurjay. So first write in Sanskrit, then I'll tell you in English. See, nobody will teach you these things. Okay, this is very precious teachings, and you should, treasure this like most precious gems, more precious than diamonds or any other precious gems. P Pramudit, V Vimal, P Prabhakari, Prabhakari, A Archismati, S Sudurjay. Okay, and then is A means Abhimukhi, Abhimukhi, and seventh stage is Duram Gam, Duram Gam. In English you write A, right, at the end. Duram Gama, Duram Gam. Duram means dur, afar, gam means gun, Duram Gam. And A, Achal, that is 8th, and S, 9th is S, Sadhumati, and 10th is Dharma Megh, Dharma Megh. Do you remember Dharma Megh Samadhi in Patanjali Sutra? In the Vibhuti-pad, in Kaivalya-pad?
yes.
That was the last Dharma Megh Samadhi.
Yes.
Dharma Megh. So Buddha also says Dharma Megh. So both are similar, right? Dharma Megh is the 10th stage, that is called Buddhahood. Dharma Megh is Buddhahood or noble wisdom, Tathagathood, Buddhahood. So you have to remember this: P V P A S A D A S D. I have remembered this in this way, in this formula. P V P A P V. Okay. So Pramudit, V Vimal, P Prabhakari, A Archismati, okay, and S Sudurjay, and then ADAST, Abhimukhi Duramgam, ADAST, Abhimukhi Duramgam, and Achal, Sadhumati, and Dharma Megh. And next day I'll ask you, you have to remember this. Some things we have to memorize also. There are some terms. Now write in English. So Pramudit. Pramudit means means dynamic joy or extra joy. Joy. Pramudit. Mod means joy, right? Pramudit. When you are very happy, you are in the first stage. Pramudit. Bimbal is stainless or pure. Bimal. Without mal. Mal means impurities, without impurities. Stainless, without a stain. Pramudit, Bimal. Prabhakari. Prabhakari means light maker. Light maker or light of wisdom. This is also called light of wisdom, light maker. Prabhakari. Archismati. Archis means fire, mati means intellect, means fiery intellect, fiery, fiery, or radiant intellect. So your intellect becomes so fiery, so radiant that can burn the ignorance. Okay? Archismati. Archis means fire. Mati means intellect. Difficult to master. Sudurjay means difficult to win. Invincible. In other words, right? Invincible. Ajeya. You become Ajeya. Nobody can win you. When you reach fifth stage, nobody can win you. You become invincible. Or difficult to win. Invincible is Ajeya, but difficult to win. That is the meaning. Actually, invincible is only Buddhas, not the Bodhisattvas. So the right word is difficult to win. Sudur Jai. Jai means jitna, right? कठिनता से जीतने वाला. Abhimukhi means Abhimukhi means turn. What is it? Turning word, right? Abhimukhi is not the exact word turning word, but that is called facing to that. Like मैं तुम्हारे सम्मुख हूँ, अभिमुख, उसकी तरफ मुंह करना. इसको ऐसा बोलते हैं, अभिमुख. उसको बोलते हैं to supreme wisdom, towards universal mind, you can say, to universal mind, or turning about, you can say, turning about. You can write turning about. Turning about is the right word, right? Turning about.
Means being with the present kind of
Abhimukhi, right? Turning about, okay?
thinking about. It is making sense.
Yeah. Abhimukhi. Like I'm like this. When I bring my face to you. It's Abhimukh. And then next is Duram Gam, means gone afar. Gone afar. Means you have gone so far, nobody can reach you. Gone afar. Afar means very much far. A-F-A-R. Far means dur, and afar means bahut dur. Bahut dur.
Okay. So it's just sir A far. I mean A far.
Yeah, A-far. Yeah. A-far. Dur, bahut dur chale jana. Duram Gam. Okay. And next is Achal. Achal means immovable. Achal. आपको कोई मूव नहीं कर सकता. अचल, अटल नहीं कहते. अचल, अटल, अचल, अचल. That is 8th stage. And 9th stage is Sadhumati, means transcendental intelligence. Sadhumati is transcendental intelligence. Now you can see when Buddha says that when you reach 8th stage, then you do this. When you reach 9th stage, then you do this, right? So this is the stage. Sadhumati is the 9th stage. And 10th Dharma Megh is cloud of Dharma. Megh means cloud. Dharma. Dharma Megh, cloud of Dharma. And what is the Dharma? Ultimate Dharma. Egolessness, imagelessness, emptiness. That is the Dharma. This is actually real Dharma. Hindu, Muslim, Christianity, and Judaism, and all these are not dharmas. Dharma is that. Egolessness, imagelessness, emptiness, nothingness, that is Dharma. Dharma Megh. So that is cloud of nothingness or egolessness. Clear? Yes. And you should remember this, all these terms. I will ask. Buddha says, this is the triplicity of the noble life. And being furnished with this triplicity, the perfect self-realization of noble wisdom has been attained. Okay? Now, Mahamati asked to bless one. Bless one is the purification of the evil outflowing of the mind, which comes from clinging to the notion of an objective world and an empirical soul, gradual or instantaneous. See, evil outflowing of mind. So we have to clarify, we have to clean that, we have to purify that. So unless you purify your mind, I mean, when your mind, so long your mind is outflowing, that is not good. That is called evil. Evil. Evil mind is outflowing, and good mind is non-outflowing. So how to purify this mind? And this purification is gradual or instantaneous. So purification takes place immediately or this is gradual? Mahamati asks. Now Buddha replies, there are three characteristics, outflows of the mind, three characteristic of evil outflowing mind. Okay. First is the evil outflowing that rise from thirst, grasping and attachment. Thirst. If you have thirst, means your mind becomes outflow. If you want to grasp anything, in that case also. If you have attachment, in that case also. The evil outflowing that arise from the illusions of the mind and the infatuations of egoism. And third, the good non-outflowing that arise from noble wisdom. Thirst, grasping and attachment, and then illusion of the mind and the infatuation of egoism, and third, non-outflowing, which arise from noble wisdom. So the evil outflowings that take place from recognizing the external world, which in truth is only a manifestation of mind, and from becoming attached to it, are gradually purified and not instantaneously. So purification is slow, gradual. Good behavior can only come by the path of restraint and effort. So the purification is very slow. Even the purification process becomes more slow when you are intensive. That becomes more slow. But people become very impatient. They want very quick growth. Good behavior can only come by the path of restraint and effort. It is like a potter making pots that is done gradually and with attention and effort. It is like the mastery of comedy, dancing, singing, and lute playing, writing, and any other art. It must be acquired gradually and laboriously. Its rewards will be a clearing insight into the emptiness and transiency of all things. So when you purify slowly, so anything is mastered slowly, right?
Yes.
Slowly. Any art, any art, any technique is mastered slowly, gradually and laboriously. You work hard. And its reward is you develop an insight into the emptiness of everything. Emptiness and transiency of all things. The evil outflowings that arise from the illusions of the mind and the infatuations of egoism concern the mental life more directly and are such things as fear, anger, hatred, and pride. These are purified by study and meditation. That too must be gained gradually and not instantaneously. Okay? It is like the almond fruit that ripens slowly. It is like grass, shrubs, herbs, and trees that grow up from the earth gradually. It must follow the path of study and meditation by himself gradually and with effort. But because of the original vows of the Bodhisattvas and all the Tathagatas who have devoted their merits and identified their lives with all animate life, that all may be emancipated, they are not without aid and encouragement. But even with the aid of the Tathagatas, the purification of the evil outflowings of the mind are at best slow and gradual, requiring both zeal and patience. See, did you see this same thing? I told you that when Buddhas bless you, then this process becomes more slow. So when your progress is very slow, don't be impatient.
That is the test to become to make the person more patient.
That is the right process. When your progress is slow, that means you are going right.
Yes, it is the right path.
Yes, it is right path. If you are going very quick, very high, there is a danger.
There must be a danger for
falling.
down quickly as well.
Buddha says, even with the aid of the Tathagata, the purification of the evil outflowing of the mind are at best slow and gradual, which requires both zeal and patience. And its reward is the gradual understanding of the twofold evolutionness and its patient acceptance and the feet well set on the stages of the Bodhisattvahood. So you will set your feet well, will be well grounded, will not slip, otherwise you may slip from the stage. So Buddha's point is, if your progress is slow, don't be impatient. You need zeal and patience. Zealously, with enthusiasm, go ahead. With patience, go ahead. And have firm faith in Buddhas. Okay? So at one hand, purification is slow, but the good non-outflowing that come with self-realization of noble wisdom is a purification that comes instantaneously by the grace of the Tathagatas. So at one hand, you are purifying slowly, but on the other hand, the realization will take place instantaneously, very quickly. Okay? It is like a mirror reflecting all forms and images instantaneously and without discrimination. It is like the sun or the moon, revealing all forms instantaneously and illuminating them dispassionately with its light. So we have to focus only on what? Only on purification. And just live up to the Buddhas. By the grace of Buddha, the noble wisdom will shine forth immediately. Like the sun rises and enlightens everything.
Yes.
Without laziness. See what Buddha says, without efforts. Have you seen this?
No.
Without efforts. Buddha says, it is like mirror reflecting all forms and images instantaneously. So when we switch on the light, there is utter darkness. When we switch on the light, everything is enlightened quickly and without discrimination. So light doesn't see that there is some bad stuff there, so I'll enlighten this stuff. So light without discrimination enlightens. It is like the sun or the moon reveals all forms instantaneously and illuminating them dispassionately without its light. In the same way, the Tathagatas lead earnest disciples to a state of imagelessness. So that is in the hand of the Tathagatas, not in your hand. Always remember, your progress is not in your hand. Okay? People become impatient. Why? I am doing so hard sadhana, but I am not progressing. Hey, that is not in your hand. That is again egoism. That is when you are again in the trap of ego.
Yes.
Buddha says you just focus on your purification and not worry about the result. That is in Buddha's hands. And Buddha says, by the grace of Buddha, or Buddhas lead these earnest disciples who have zeal and patience. Remember 6 paramitas?
Yes.
Dhyana, Dan, Shil, Shanti, Virya, and Dhyana and Prajna. So zeal is Virya. Patience is Shanti.
Patience is
Shanti. Endurance. So with endurance and zeal, you go ahead. Like Hanuman. Hanuman was very patient.
Endurance and right efforts.
Yes.
Efforts.
Yeah. So it is the Tathagatas' grace, Tathagatas, who lead earnest disciples to a state of imagelessness. All the accumulations of habit, energy, and karma that had been collecting since beginningless time because of attachment to erroneous views which have been entertained regarding an ego soul and its external world are cleared away, revealing instantaneously the realm of transcendental intelligence that belongs to the Buddhahood. So When you purify your soul, Tathagatas, Buddhas immediately take you to that realm, that is the realm of transcendental intelligence, which belongs to Buddhas. Just as universal mind, defiled by accumulations of habit, energy, and karma, reveals multiplicities of ego souls and their external worlds of false imagination, so universal mind, cleared of its defilements through the gradual purifications of the evil outgoings that come by effort, study, and meditation, and by the gradual self-realization of noble wisdom, at the long last, like Dharmata Buddha shining forth spontaneously with the rays that issue from its pure self-nature, shines forth instantaneously. Okay, so Buddha says, like universal mind, when you clear, so what is the purification? Purification is clearing out the defilements which are accumulated by habit samskaras. Okay, so our samskaras, our karma, create defilements. So we have to clear the universal mind of its defilements through gradual purifications of the evil outflowings that come by effort, study, and meditation. So during the sadhana, you do what? Effort, study, and meditation. And by the gradual self-realization of noble wisdom, at the long last, like the Dharmata Buddha shining forth spontaneously with the rays that issue from its pure self-nature, shines forth instantaneously. By it, the mentality of all bodhisattvas is matured instantaneously. They find themselves in the palatial abodes of the Akanishta heavens, themselves spontaneously radiating the various treasures of its spiritual abundance. So you go there and you start radiating the light. So you have to focus only on the purification of evil outflowings. Okay? Was interesting?
It was very interesting, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was telling you, the more you will go forward, the more interesting,
Yeah.
and you will find yourself very unburdened, very light, and you'll find happy because that gives birth to pramod, joy. And so you will ascend the stages, you will reach the 9th and the 10th. And what is the fruit of self-realization? Mahamati asked to bless one. Pray, tell us, bless one, what is the fruit that comes with self-realization of noble wisdom? The blessed one replies, the first fruit, there will come a clearing insight into the meaning and significance of things, and following that will come an unfolding insight into the significance of the spiritual ideals, paramitas, by reason of which the bodhisattvas will be able to enter more deeply into the abode of imagelessness and be able to experience the higher samadhis and gradually to pass through the higher stages of bodhisattva. Okay, so that will be first reward, first fruit. What first is that your insight will become very clear. You will have utmost clarity in your mind. You live in clarity, not in dullness, not in blurriness. That is the first fruit. Okay, and with that, you will understand the significance of spiritual ideals, paramitas. Dan, Shil, Shanti, Virya, Dhyan, and Prajya. 6 paramitas. You'll understand the significance of them. Okay. And thereby, bodhisattvas will be entering more deeply into the abode of imagelessness. So the more deeply you will be in imagelessness, the more deeper experiences or higher experiences of samadhis will be there, and you will ascend the stages of bodhisattva. After experiencing the turning about in the deepest state of consciousness, they will experience other samadhis, even to the highest, the Vajrabimbopama. The Vajrabimbopam is the highest samadhi, which belongs to the Tathagatas and their transformations they will be able to enter into the realms of consciousness, in realm of consciousness that lies beyond the consciousness of the mind system, even the consciousness of the Tathagatahood. So then subsequently you will enter into the realm of consciousness that lies beyond the consciousness of the mind system, even the consciousness of the Tathagatahood also. They will become endowed with all the powers, psychic faculties, self-mastery, loving compassion, skillful means, and ability to enter into other Buddha lands. Okay? Do you see, Bishop? You will receive everything, what you are looking for. All the supernatural powers you will receive. And before they had attained self-realization of noble wisdom, they had been influenced by the self-interests of egoism. But after they attain self-realization, they will find themselves reacting spontaneously to the impulses of a great and compassionate heart endowed with skillful and boundless means, and sincerely and wholly devoted to the emancipation of all beings. See, the more you will reach in the noble wisdom, the more compassionate you will become, the more you will think for others, and the more you will devote yourself to the emancipation of all beings. So that is a sign. If you have compassion, that means you have noble wisdom, you have Tathagatahood. Further, Mahamati asked to Blessma, please tell us about the sustaining power of the Tathagatas by which the Bodhisattvas are added to attain self-realization of noble wisdom. Earlier, Buddha has explained that they are supported by sustaining power of Buddhas, right? So Bodhisattvas are sustained by Buddha's power, sustaining power. So what is that actually? Please tell us about that. So Buddha replies, there are two kinds of sustaining power, which issue from the Tathagatas and are at the service of the Bodhisattvas. So that sustaining power is for none other than Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas. So that is at the service of Bodhisattvas, sustained by which the Bodhisattvas should prostrate themselves before them and show their appreciation by asking questions. So there is first power of Buddhas. Because of Buddha's power, you develop devotion to Buddhas. The first kind of sustaining power is the Bodhisattva's own adoration and faith in the Buddhas, by reason of which the Buddhas are able to manifest themselves and render their aid and to ordain them with their own hands. So you will be ordained. So that is first blessing of Buddha. The second kind of sustaining power is the power radiating from the Tathagatas that enables the Bodhisattvas to attain and to pass through the various samadhis and samapatti without becoming intoxicated by their bliss. That is second power of Buddha. So by first power, you develop the firm faith in them, okay, and great reverence to them. Second power, through that you enter into different samadhis, samapattis, but you do not become intoxicated by their bliss. Because people or the sadhakas, seekers, who think that I have attained samadhis just by my own efforts, they become intoxicated into samadhis. They don't come out of them. So they are not liberated, fully liberated. So being sustained by the power of Buddhas, the Bodhisattva, even at the first stage, will be able to attain the samadhi, known as the light of Mahayana. In that samadhi, Bodhisattvas will become conscious of the presence of the Tathagatas, coming from all their different abodes in the 10 quarters to impart the Bodhisattvas their sustaining power in various ways. So you will realize that I am getting blessed, day by day I am getting blessed by Buddhas. Okay. As the Bodhisattva Vajragarbha was sustained in the samadhis and as many other bodhisattvas of like degree and virtue have been sustained. So all earnest disciples and masters and bodhisattvas may experience this sustaining power of Buddhas in their samadhis and samapattis. The disciples' faith and the Tathagata's merit are two aspects of the same sustaining power. See what Buddha says. The disciples' faith and the Tathagata's merit. Merit means power or punyas. These are two aspects of the same sustaining power. So Buddha here clarifies that if you have faith, don't think that is not power, that is also power. Yes. And their blessings are also power. So faith is one aspect of their blessings, and their blessings is one aspect of their faith. So the more faith you have, the more blessings you get. See, he clarifies. Whatever samadhis, psychic faculties, and teachings are realized by the bodhisattvas, they are made possible only by the sustaining power of the Buddhas. So if you realize any supernatural powers, always remember they are made available only by Buddhas, by one of Buddhas or some of Buddhas. The powers are in their hands. When you deserve, they just reveal that. So anything, if you realize in your meditation, just understand that this is not your own power. This is power of some Buddha. If you meditate in the Himalayas or here, and you realize something that was revealed by Buddha.
And the way that you always tell us that it comes from the divine mind.
Yes, divine.
That's what Buddhas are trying to convey through you to us.
Yes. So, Buddhas means divine minds. Actually, Buddhas are not many. They are only one. This term that I say, Buddhas. But they are only one. If here are, suppose in this room, if there are 10 Buddhas, they all are lost in imagelessness. They dwell in imagelessness. So in imagelessness, there are no many. There is only one. Clear, all of you? Meghna, Priya.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Jenny, are you understanding? So Buddha says, if it were otherwise, the ignorant and the simple-minded might attain the same fruitage. Whenever the Tathagatas enter with their sustaining power, there will be not only music made by human lips and played by human hands on various instruments, but there will be music among the grass and shrubs and trees and in the mountains and towns and palaces and hovels. What more music, the hearts of endowed with sentience, cured of their deficiencies and will rejoice in their emancipation. Such is the extraordinary virtue of the sustaining power imparted by by the bestowal of the sustaining power, the bodhisattvas are enabled to avoid the evils of hatred and enslaving karma. See, Buddha says, because of Buddha's sustaining power, that bodhisattvas are enabled to avoid the evils of passion, hatred, and enslaving karma. They are enabled to transcend the dhyana of the beginners and to advance beyond the experience and truth already attained. They are enabled to demonstrate the paramitas and finally to attain the stage of Tathagata. Even the Tathagathood is also reached by the power of Buddha. Mahamati, if it were not for this sustaining power, they would relapse into the whims of the philosophers, easygoing disciples. What is the word? Easygoing disciples. Note, easygoing disciples. So there are many disciples who want to go easily, want to attain easily, but that stage is not reached easily. Okay. They want to get the Shakti path of the masters, Shakti path, the interference of the masters. They want to get liberation by the grace of Shiva, by the grace of Krishna, by the grace of this deity. They don't want to work hard.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just leave everything in the hands of
Yeah, they want the grant. They want grant. Obviously, they are granted, but purification is very important.
for the results. If they want, they need to put efforts.
Efforts. And easygoing disciples never reach there, and the able-minded and would just fall short of this highest attainment. For these reasons, earnest disciples and sincere bodhisattvas are sustained by the power of all the Tathagatas. So never think that you are alone. If you are on this path, you are taken care by all the Buddhas, not only Gautam Buddha. When I say Buddhas, they're not only Gautam Buddha. There are many Buddhas, numerous of past, and there are many Buddhas in present also, in the future also. In fact, from Buddha perspective, there is no time of past, present, and future. There is nothing whatsoever. There is only one. But just to make you understand, we need to use different words. But always remember what? Noble wisdom is imagelessness, timelessness, timeless. That is beyond time and space. Time, space, and conditions. Clear? Further, Mahamati asked about the six paramitas. He is asking that it has been said by the Blessed One that by fulfilling the six paramitas, Buddhahood is realized. Pray tell us what are the paramitas and how they are to be fulfilled. We had studied about these paramitas in Diamond Sutra, but this is just a revision, and there are some different texts, different words of Buddhas in this answer. So heed the answers, the words of Buddha. Buddha says the paramitas are ideals of spiritual perfection that are to be guide of the bodhisattvas on the path of to self-realization. There are six of them, but they are to be considered in three different ways according to the progress of the bodhisattva on these stages. Okay, there are six in numbers, but in three different ways. At first, they are to be considered as ideals for the worldly life. Next, as ideals for the mental life. And lastly, ideals for the spiritual and unity life. So these six paramitas can give you three fruits at three levels: worldly, mental, and spiritual. Clear? In the worldly life, where one is still holding tenaciously to the notions of an ego soul and what concerns to it, and holding fast to discriminations of dualism, if only for worldly benefits, one should cherish ideals of charity, good behavior, patience, zeal, thoughtfulness, and wisdom. There are six, right? Dan, Sheel, good behavior, Shanti, patience, Zeal, Virya, thoughtfulness, meditation, Dhyana, and wisdom is Prajna. There are six. Even in the worldly life, the practice of these virtues will bring rewards of happiness and success. So if anyone practices these six paramitas, they can gain worldly benefits. Much more in the mind world of earnest disciples and masters will their practice bring joys of emancipation, enlightenment, and peace of mind. Because the paramitas are grounded on right knowledge and lead to thoughts of nirvana, even if the nirvana of their thoughts is for themselves. Okay? Meghna, can I read further? In the mind world.
Yes, sir. Much more in the mind world of earnest disciples and masters will their practice bring joys of emancipation, enlightenment, and peace of mind, because the paramitas are grounded on right knowledge and lead to thoughts of nirvana, even if the nirvana of the thoughts is for themselves.
Yes.
In the mind world, the paramitas become more ideal and more sympathetic. Charity can no longer be expressed in the giving of impersonal gifts, but will call for the most costly gifts of sympathy and understanding. Good behavior will call for something more than outward conformity to the five precepts, because in the light of the paramitas, they must practice humility, simplicity, restraint, and self-giving. Patience will call for something more than forbearance with external circumstances and the temperaments of other people. It will now call for patience with oneself. Zeal will call for something more than industry and outward show of earnestness. It will call for more self-control in the task of following the noble path and in manifesting the dharma in one's own life. Thoughtfulness will give way to mindfulness when discriminated meanings and logical deductions and rationalizations will give way to intuitions of significance and spirit. The paramitas of wisdom, pragya, will no longer be concerned with pragmatic wisdom and erudition, but will reveal itself in its true perfectness of all-inclusive truth, which is love.
Okay, so this is the second aspect of paramitas, which is mental. Now, the third aspect.
The third aspect of the paramitas, as seen in the ideal perfections of the Tathagatas, can only be fully understood by the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas who are devoted to the highest spiritual discipline and have fully understood that there is nothing to be seen in the world but that which issues from the mind itself, in whose minds the discriminations of dualities has ceased to function, and ceasing and clinging has become non-existent.
Okay.
Thus, free from all attachments to individual objects and ideas, their minds are free to consider ways of benefiting and giving happiness to others, even to all sentient beings. To the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, the ideal of charity is shown in the self-yielding of the Tathagatas, hope of nirvana that all may enjoy it together.
I will stop you here.
Mhm.
So, see, do you see the same thing I emphasized? Not I, even Buddha emphasizes. That is why also actually Buddha emphasizes that the spiritual meaning of practicing paramitas is self-yielding. Self-yielding is you yield yourself, you open yourself.
Yes.
You don't close yourself, open yourself. Open for all, not for just my family, not just for my relatives, not nepotism, okay, but available for all. It's called self-yielding, and or the Tathagatas hope of nirvana that all may enjoy it together. Yes, further.
While having relations with an objective world, there is no rising in the minds of the Tathagatas of discriminations between the interests of self and the interests of others. Between good and evil, there is just the spontaneity and effortless actuality of perfect behavior. To practice patience with full knowledge of this and that, of grasp and grasping, but with no thought of discrimination nor of attachment, that is the Tathagatas' paramitas of patience. To exert oneself with energy from the first part of the night to its end in conformity with the disciplinary measures with no rising of discrimination as to comfort or discomfort, that is the Tathagatas paramitas of zeal. Not to discriminate between self and others in thoughts of nirvana, but to keep the mind fixed on nirvana, that is the paramitas of mindfulness. As to the pragya paramitas, which is noble wisdom, who can predicate it? When in samadhi, the mind ceases to discriminate and there is only perfect and love-filled imagelessness, then an inscrutable turning about will take place in the inmost consciousness and one will have attained self-realization of noble wisdom, that is the highest pragya paramitas.
Clear?
Yes.
So in spiritual term, Buddha has clarified that in worldly term, you gain the worldly fruits. In mental term, you gain the mental powers. And in spiritual term, you become more spiritual. So being selfless is spiritual. So when you practice charity selflessly, without any fruit, without any expectation of reward or appreciation, that is spiritual practice of dan, shil. When you practice shil, moralities, okay, and that moralities is not of self or others' interest between good and evil, but that is spontaneous and effortless. Okay, austerity, actuality of perfect behavior, effortless. That becomes your nature. This is also selfless, without any expectation. And third is kshanti, what you call endurance. So the endurance of Tathagatas or the Buddhas is no thought of discrimination nor of attachment. Okay, that is the Tathagatas paramita of patience. What you call chanti, dan, shil, chanti, virya. Virya means energy. So when you practice energy without any comfort or discomfort and with no rising of discrimination, you work hard without any discrimination. That is the Buddha's zeal, virya. And dhyana is called Buddha's dhyana is you always transcend the discrimination between self and others, and you dwell in nirvana. Your mind is always fixed in nirvana. That is Buddha's mindfulness. Okay, and Buddha's prajna is that is perfect and love-filled imagelessness. Love-filled imagelessness. Even when you are imageless, you are filled with love, compassion, and love will lead you to the imagelessness. And when you are imagelessness, in that state also, your mind, your being is filled with love and compassion. That is, then inscrutable turning about will take place in your inmost consciousness, and you will realize noble wisdom. And that is the highest prajna. Next.
Then Mahamati asked to the Blessed One, "You have spoken of an astral body, a mind vision body, Manomaya Kaya, which the Bodhisattvas are able to assume as being one of the fruits of self-realization of noble wisdom. Pray tell us, Blessed One, what is meant by such a transcendental body?"
So in this section, Buddha talks about transcendental body, what you gain through practice of six paramitas or through practice of this enlightenment. You gain transcendental body, not this physical body, but transcendental body, and how that is formed, what is the characteristic of that, Buddha explains in this reply.
The Blessed One replied, "There are three kinds of such transcendental bodies. First, there is the one in which the Bodhisattva attains enjoyment of the samadhis and samapattis. Second, there is the one which is assumed by the Tathagatas according to the class of beings to be sustained and which achieves and perfects spontaneously with no attachment and no effort. Third, there is the one in which the Tathagatas receive their intuition of Dharmakaya."
These are the three transcendental body. Okay. In first, whatever samadhi and samadhi you realize, not with this physical body. This physical body doesn't experience samadhi, but your subtle body. Okay. So samadhis and samapatis, the bliss of samadhis and samapatis are experienced by subtle body, that is first body. Second body is that according to the class of being to be sustained and which achieves and perfect spontaneous with no attachment and no effort. Means that body is non-attached body. Okay, detached from this physical body. And third is that is called Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the body of Dharma. Or in other words, that is actually the universal mind, divine mind. Okay. So intuition and divine mind. Second body is intuition and third body is Dharmakaya. Yeah.
The transcendental personality that enters into the enjoyment of the samadhis comes with the third, fourth, and fifth stages as the meditations of the mind system become quieted and waves of consciousness are no more stirred on the face of universal mind.
Yeah. Third, fourth, and fifth stage. For third, fourth, and fifth stage.
In this state, the conscious mind is still aware in a measure of the bliss being experienced by this cessation of the mind's activities. The second kind of transcendental personality is the kind assumed by the Bodhisattvas and Tathagatas as bodies of transformation by which they demonstrate their original vows in the work of achieving and perfecting. It comes with the eighth stage of Bodhisattvahood. When the Bodhisattva has a thoroughgoing penetration into the Maya-like nature of things and understands the dharma of imagelessness, he will experience the turning about in his deepest consciousness and will become able to experience the higher samadhis even to the highest. By entering into these exalted samadhis, he attains a personality that transcends the conscious mind, by reason of which he obtains supernatural powers of self mastery and activities, because of which he is able to move as he wishes, as quickly as a dream changes, as quickly as an image changes in a mirror. This transcendental body is not a product of the elements, and yet there is something in it that is analogous to what is so produced. It is furnished with all the differences appertaining to the world of form, but without their limitations. Possessed of this mind vision body, he is able to be present in all the assemblages in all the Buddha lands. Just as his thought move instantly and without hindrance over walls and rivers and trees and mountains, and just as in memory he recalls and visits the scenes of his past experiences, so while his mind keeps functioning in the body, his thoughts may be 100,000 yojanas away. In the same fashion, the transcendental personality that experiences the samadhi, Vajravimbopama, will be endowed with supernatural powers and psychic faculties and self mastery, by reason of which he will be able to follow the noble paths that lead to the assemblages of the Buddhas, moving about as freely as he may wish. But his wishes will no longer be self centered, nor tainted by discrimination and attachment. For this transcendental personality is not his old body, but is the transcendental embodiment of his original vows of self yielding in order to bring all beings to maturity.
Okay. Yes, next.
The third kind of transcendental personality is so ineffable that it is able to attain intuitions of the Dharmakaya. That is, it attains intuitions of the boundless and inscrutable cognition of universal mind. As Bodhisattva Mahasattvas attain the highest of the stages and become conversant with all the treasures to be realized in noble wisdom, they will attain this inconceivable transformation body, which is the true nature of all the Tathagatas past, present, and future, and will participate in the blissful peace which pervades the dharma of all the Buddhas.
Yeah. So there are three transcendental bodies Buddha has explained, and all these three transcendental bodies are attained by practicing the disciplines and ascending the stages. The more stages, more advanced stages you will reach, the more powerful transcendental bodies you will attain. Okay, and like your thought passes through this wall, so also your transcendental body passes through the wall. Nothing hinders you. There is supernatural power. Okay, and you will obtain all these three bodies by just advancing on the path. The last body is Dharmakaya. Okay,